Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box. Well, Cher has had hits over many decades. I Got You, Babe in the 60s, among many others, Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves in the 70s, among many others, If I Could Turn Back Time in the 80s, among many others, and then her sort of grand and most unexpected comeback of all at the very end of the 90s, when people were worried that their computers would explode because of the time-space continuum as opposed to faulty made lithium batteries from China. She came out with a song that really surprised the world, and this was the song Believe. And it took the world by storm for many reasons, but one of the reasons, pardon me, was it was the first time that much of the world heard autotune and what it's done, because by the late 90s, digital workstations were coming to replace the traditional music studio when it came to the recording, mixing, editing, and touching up of songs. Now, in many ways, it was very interesting that Cher ended up being the one to sort of inflict autotune on the world. It was 1998. I think I said 1999, but it was 1998. Now, the reason that I say this is sort of strange is because Cher has a wonderful voice, and she always took care of her voice. She can sing. Autotune, since Cher, has tended to be used by a lot of people who cannot sing, and it's used to make it appear as though they can, or sound as though they can, because a sound doesn't appear even though you can see it on a sine wave. And look, here we are again. I mean, you wouldn't pay for this. Why do you think I give it away for free? But anyway. So that was the beginning of Autotune. Now, Autotune defined sort of the next 10 years of singing and of vocal performance as a whole. It was used to correct the minor blemishes of otherwise decent singers and make things, some would say sterile, some would say too perfect, some would say just right. It was also used to propel the careers of people who wanted to sing, but they couldn't really sing. Maybe they were good looking, maybe they were fashionable, maybe they were good dancers, and just, to help them out, we'll auto tune the vocals. You focus on the footwork and getting sponsors from the Gabanas and the Veganas and all the rest of it. And then it was also used in creative ways, especially in the hip hop community. Kanye West, as he was then known, used a lot of it. Many people used a lot of it in creative ways as a kind of sound effect, the way that, for example, the talk box was used by people like Roger Troutman and Zapp. I want to be your man. You can't really do it, or Peter Frampton. Do you? You've heard it. You know exactly what the talk box is. Joe Walsh used it, and so it was for some artists. It was like that. They could sing, but they were using it for an effect. But nevertheless, auto tune was there. And Cher, who is definitely in the let's use it as an effect group, really had that profound effect on the next 10, in many ways, 15 years of music. Over the last 10 years, fewer people are using it as an effect. Some still are, but it became kind of overused. Where now it's just used along with quantizing to just sterilize everything. And so the legacy of Autotune, well, in some ways it's inevitable because musical technology has always evolved in such a way as to do two things that don't necessarily converge. On the one hand, music technology has created new sounds that create new challenges and forms of intrigue for the listener. On the other hand, things have been created that make the musical playing experience better. Think of timpanis where you tune them with the foot as opposed to having to go around with the tuning key, making the process, it streamlined the process, made it faster, allowed orchestral composers to write more complex percussive parts. Think of the digital tuner, making rapid tuning changes on string instruments like guitar much easier. So, the lords of technology giveth and they taketh awayeth. In Cher's case, she did a bit of both. But that's what happened in 1998. Feels like yesterday. Remember when South Park made fun of it? I sure do. Let me know if you do. As always, like, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Take care.